to play, but I don't know if he's necessarily completely bad.
Self-serving.
Yeah, to a point, but I think as the story progresses, you'll see his reasons behind that. But yeah, it's very kind of a selfish thing. But
So you're not going to tell us what some of those reasons are?
I reckon by next week, when episode 6 comes out, you'll understand a lot more about him. There's flashbacks in next week's episode that kind of explain, the story behind the Blakes and what happens there. So hopefully that'll kind of enlighten you and make you guys see that he's not so bad.
Have you known from the beginning, because there's always been sort of an implied morality that just didn't quite make sense?
I had known a little bit about it, but only really learned the depth of it as we were shooting this season. So I don't know whether it was a good or a bad thing. Had I known more about where his backstory, then possibly I could have played it too much, or so I just tried to play it in the middle, and then as we learned more and more, then it became a lot clearer and easier for me to guide my character in a certain direction. And I mean, they created a great arc for my character, the writers, and Jason and those guys.
Do you have any idea where they're going to take next season if there's a season 2?
Oh,
They said anything?
No. I mean, I remember when we just finished shooting the pilot and we sat down in the writers' room and being given the first season, and they had all these ideas about where we were going to go, and then we started shooting it, and all those ideas that they had initially said didn't really come to fruition. So for me to guess about what might be happening next season would just be ridiculous. I mean, you hear something, but I wouldn't bank on it. Yeah, the show just becomes so expansive by the end of the first season. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
So they've been killing people all season. So when we look towards the finale, what can we expect from that, since death is such a big thing?
It went up exponentially last episode, where they killed off 320 people. I wouldn't say it calms down, but it definitely carries on in that kind of nature, where no one is really safe. So, if we're going to talk about next season, then maybe I'm not there. Who knows? They carry on in this fashion. Yeah.
Are we going to get a little more of the backstory of how humanity sort of got to this point where such rules have been set into place?
I guess you'd call it the mythology of where we are. Gets explained further down the track. And even in the next episode with flashbacks, and by the use of flashbacks, you can kind of see how the society came to be. But there is probably a few episodes further down, a lot of people talk about how things came to be and how we ended up, the space stations came together on the Ark. So that will be explained a little bit more. Yeah.
So the relationship between Bellamy and Clark feel like natural leaders. Do you think they're slowly going to get drawn closer and closer towards each other because of this inclination?
I think the situation definitely brings them closer together. Mm-hmm. They definitely grow closer together. I think the show hints at the fact that in order for the 100 to live, the two, leaders can't be at loggerheads with each other, so there has to be some sort of common ground, and they have to, compromise their stances. So, as it continues on, they definitely grow together, but they're always going to be conflicted because they go about problem solving in a very different manner.
So there's nothing romantic happening there anytime soon?
I think romance gets complicated, and especially with the situation the kids are in, it's hard for that to bloom in such a tough situation. But I never say never. I have to just keep watching.
Last we saw him, he was sleeping with 2 women at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know how he wrangled that. I don't know how he convinced 2 women to sleep with him. But I think because Bellamy establishes his tent very early on in his bed, maybe he's the only guy in camp with a proper bed. So there's a line up for people to get in there. that's the only reason I got it.
Can you talk about physically shooting these scenes? I mean, there's a lot of action going on and everything.
Yeah, and it becomes so much more involved throughout the storyline, and the action really ramps up. And not only that, the weather really gets quite freezing up in Vancouver when it turns to winter. So, I mean, that was quite. I wouldn't say an ordeal, but it was tough. But we had such an amazing stunt department. Who, I mean, I love doing that stuff. I love being physical, and so we had a fair chance. All of us actors had a real fair go at having to get to do our own stunts. So that was exciting. I think doing that and being within the action really helps the performance. But yeah, the show just, like, I remember reading a couple episodes as it goes on, but it really kind of explodes about 2 or 3 episodes from here, and it just becomes quite actiony. Yeah.
Is there anything you asked to do that they wouldn't let you because the stunt guys just had to do it?
No, they kind of let me do a lot of my own stuff. But there were times when the stunties, Marshall Virtue out, the stunt coordinator, would stop me because he'd be like, "You're getting too into this, and you're going to hurt yourself." And so it's bad because I really want to do them, so I try really hard. But because I don't have the proper techniques for it, I end up kind of hurting myself. So sometimes they have to protect me from myself. Yeah, but they let us do all the stunts that we wanted to do, and everyone throughout the show gets to do it. Yeah.
So, The 100 is based off of a book by Cass Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you do any research on your character after you got the role, or did you do any of the readings?
Well, I read the book. We were probably about 3 or 4 episodes into shooting it by that point, because I think it got released around the same time. And I enjoyed the book, but we differ quite markedly between the show and the book. But Bellamy was much nicer in the book. So but I read it, and I think she's got a new one coming out. I think it's called Day 21, which is coming out soon.
Yeah.
Does Bellamy and Emily's character, I'm sorry, do they come to a better understanding? It seemed like in the episode we saw this week that he did have some respect for what she was trying to do.
Yeah, I think he has always had that respect. I think when he first got to the ground, he was unsure. He just knew that he needed to stamp his authority and try and convince everyone of his ideal. But I think he does have that admiration and respect for her and the way she goes about things. She's such a strong character, and she knows everything, which can be quite annoying at times. But you have to admire someone for that, and she's trying to do the greater good. And I think Bellamy is trying to do that. He just can't comprehend how to do it properly, how to put his. I think he's maybe a little bit emotionally inept, but he can't articulate the way that he wants to express his power.
Do you think he's also maybe short-sighted, where she's more?
He's definitely blinded by the impending doom of the arc. After having shot the Chancellor, he has a timeline that's very immediate. So I'd say he's short-sighted because he has that impending doom over the top of him. So he needs to kind of stop it now and get everyone on his side now. There's an immediacy to how he has to act.
So one of the things the first episode was about was getting to the storage facility where the food was.
Yeah.
That sort of has been dropped. Is there going to be some effort before the finale for them to get the food cooked, now that they're more used to the toxic environment?
Yeah, there will be. It was kind of. They spoke about it in the beginning, I think in the second episode, where they decided to kind of boycott that idea because they realised the grounders are protecting that area. But there is definitely, I've read tweets about people being like, aren't you guys hungry? Aren't you guys thirsty? So we address that issue as we go along. So resources and the storage units and stuff like that come into play. They definitely come back around.
Has there been anything from the response of the fans that surprised you, that you didn't expect them to react to certain things?
I thought Bellamy was quite a douche, but I always, because you have to empathise with your character, I always saw that he had a good heart, and I'm surprised that people have actually can see that as well. I mean, it's credit to the writing and the directors and everyone doing their job. So that was really like a pleasant surprise that he actually has fans. Because, luckily for me, there was another character, Murphy, Richard Harmon, who came on, and he was like the ultimate evil. So he took a lot of the brunt. And then last week in episode 5, I tweeted about saying like, here comes the hate, because it's all back on me again, which is fine, but people still enjoy my characters. So that was nice. That was a surprise.
So I know in the next 2 episodes, I actually got a chance to watch it yesterday at the screening. You have a pretty big role in both of them, with the flashback and also with the torture scene that happens later on. Do you think the scenes with the grounders sort of changes his character, because it does look like he's been through a lot?
I mean, even shooting that was that was quite brutal. There was probably like nearly 4 days shooting those scenes, and I remember coming home and just being like quite affected by it. But I think Bellamy is also affected by it, and there's the arc they give him, Bellamy, after that is quite an emotional one. And I think they really managed to articulate that and make it really beautiful for me, at least to play. So after like that episode 7, it's there's a significant change in the way that he acts.
What's the atmosphere?
Last question, sorry.
What's the atmosphere like on the set? Is there a lot of bonding and goofing off between takes? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because it does feel like it's 2 different shows, because we rarely get to work with the adults, as we call them. So it's a lot of us younger actors on set. Devin and I actually lived together in Vancouver, so we used to goof around a lot. But mainly, we're all there trying to do our best, like the best job that we can, and that's like a really great environment to be in. The crew work really hard, the cast work really hard, and everyone is trying to create the best show that we can. So that environment enables you to have fun, but it also enables you to work and be creative and enjoy it. So that's what the mood is like on set. It's been one of the best sets that I've worked on, for sure. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.